So that was our normal. And growing up, we started to get programmed, at least I did, in a way of relying on other people to come and save us. When really, at the end of the day, we have gifts, we have talents, each and every one of us. You as a listener listening to this recording right now, you have gifts, talents, and abilities within yourself that have been given to you by what some would say God, Creator, and so on. And those gifts and blessings that have been bestowed upon you, if you use that in a positive way on this journey that we call life, you can have a good chance of being successful. So today we're going to be sharing with you some strategies. The very first day in my young life, I was living in a place called Sweetgrass First Nation. Again, my mom was single parenting us. She was raising us. And one day in particular, I was outside in my community. I was outside my house and I was playing with these cars, these toys outside on the grass. And then out of nowhere, suddenly I had this little thought, this vision, if you want to call it, of how I would see myself in the future as a young man, as an adult. How would I want to lead my life? And all that came in the back of my mind was this person who was much older, First Nations man, who had this black and white suit on. So that was the very first time I ever thought and proactively thought about who I could become in the future. That was the basic thing, was a businessman. And little did I know that I would eventually become a businessman. I'd become an entrepreneur. I'd become a speaker and so on. So that was the first time. And I remember that just like yesterday because it was a thought, it was a feeling that maybe that could be possible for me one day. Fast forward into grade 10. And in grade 10, when I was going to John Paul II Collegiate in North Battleford, Saskatchewan, I was a high school student, my very first day in that school. I was introduced to a keynote speaker who came to our school. It was a general assembly, and I was in the back of the room. And in the back of the room, I was on the top of the bleachers, and I was like the shyest kid in my school. And I had a hard time talking with people. In fact, when the teacher would ask me to go up and do presentations, I was always the shyest kid in the back of the room, and I didn't want to be noticed. I used to shake the paper when I would hold it. I couldn't make eye contact with people. I had a hard time with doing all these things. So when I was listening to this keynote speaker speaking to us at this school, I started off with the whole presentation thinking about, my arms were crossed and I was closed off and I was thinking, what is this person going to talk to us about today? Now, about 5-10 minutes into his keynote, this person was so impactful with their words that I started to open up my body posture. And I started to lean in and my body posture started to lean in and I started to rest my elbow on my knees and I was really focused on what this person was saying. In fact, at the end of this presentation, I was so motivated, I was so inspired that I made a decision in the back of my mind. Yes, in the back of my mind, this is where it starts. I made a decision that I was going to do that someday. I didn't know who I was going to become or what I was going to accomplish, but I made a decision that I was going to inspire people one day. I was going to help people through words, even though I was the shyest kid in the back of the room. I made a decision that day. And that decision would eventually lead me into becoming a speaker. You see, these simple mind shift ideas.